How you doing today?
All right, we'll start in the back with Rick.
Hey, Coach, particularly on defense, why do you feel like the in-game adjustments did not work in the second half against Missouri?
It starts, obviously always starts with us as coaches. We didn't get, obviously the adjustments that we thought we needed. We didn't get them done at the level we needed to. And then, with the players, I thought, going into, obviously game 10, we were great at pre-snap communication. That's one of the reasons we felt like we started playing better on defense, and I thought that didn't go well, particularly in the second half as far as recognizing formations and being able to adjust to them. And we have to get better at that, and that's at all three levels, from the D-line, linebackers, and secondary, where we were not on the same page, a couple times. And you got to give Missouri credit. They were able to take advantage of it when we weren't as sound as assignment-wise as we needed to be.
Why do teams struggle to pressure Carson Beck so much? Jordan's
They've only given up, I think, 9 sacks through 10 games. I think their offensive line does a tremendous job. They have really good players up front, and he's very good with the ball in hand. He knows when to get rid of it, recognizes pressures, and he's athletic enough to get out of the pocket and extend plays. Which is something that obviously teams are going to struggle with because of their athletes that they have on the perimeter. When you go with the tight ends and the wideouts and even the running backs in the passing game, he's got some great outlets, but he can extend plays and he recognizes defenses' intentions pre-snap. So I think it all starts with him. He's doing a really good job.
Coach, with that being said, obviously Missouri got it out in the flat to the running backs and got it across the middle some. What's the adjustment from there? What do your linebackers, what do they need to take away from the shortcomings there at Missouri and translate that into this week?
It goes back to what we said. We're multiple on defense, and it comes back to pre-snap communication. There was a couple times we lost leverage based off of what we were doing, and it put us in bad situations to make those plays out in the perimeter. But it's still no excuses. When we got out there, we did not make the plays. We missed way too many tackles out in the perimeter when we got out there, whether we were in bad position or not. Job is to get the guy on the ground, and we did a poor job, as the second-level defenders of, getting those guys on the ground before they got to first downs, whether it been second and long or third down. We did a poor job there. So, it comes back to the pre-snap communication. It comes back to being in the right position, but still at the end of the day, we have to tackle better when they get out there.
Mike Fitzpatrick.
Coach, last year you identified Georgia's tight ends and you held Brock Bowers to just 27 yards. He only had, I think his longest catch was 10 yards. And this is an All-American guy. What's the secret? I don't think Darnell even had a catch. How did the tight ends look this year, and why is Tennessee so good against Brock Bowers?
Well, man, you said that, I didn't. He's to me, he's one of the better tight ends. I've been doing this for a long time. He's one of the better tight ends I've seen, in person and on video. The natural pass catching ability, the ability to separate is as good as most wide receivers. I'm not going to sit here and say we designed a defense to try to slow him down. I don't think anybody can. I think the targets come as the offense sees to target him, and I think Georgia has won 2 national championships for a reason, because they adjust to what defenses are doing. But give him all the credit in the world. Came back against Ole Miss last week and was able to catch a touchdown pass and didn't look like he skipped a beat. If you ask anybody on our defense, we know how talented he is, and our hope is to contain him. I would never sit here and say we were able to stop him. You know what I mean? I think that's a credit to what Georgia does, that they're going to take what defenses are giving them, and they feel like they have talented players at a bunch of different spots that they can attack defenses in different ways.
Patrick and Adam.
Coach, how did you sort of evaluate how Elijah did in the game and how he kind of responded from Saturday?
He was part of the problem. He wasn't the only problem. I would say that. And like I said, we always start with what we could do better, and I'm always going to start with what I could do better. And that's why I keep mentioning the pre-snap communication. When you have young, inexperienced guys at certain positions, you have to be able to help them. Our veteran guys, have to be able to recognize the formations, alert them, help them with checks and those things, and that's not letting them off the hook at all. But, we didn't do that as a whole team, and I think that was part of the struggle with us on defense. And then obviously Elijah did not tackle well, especially in space. And, we always reevaluate everything that we're doing, starting with us as coaches. How can we make it easier for them? What can we do better to put them in better position to be successful? But he understood, some of the mistakes that he made and some of the miscues that really led to big plays. And I expect him to come back and bounce back in a big way this week.
In the defense that y'all played most of the night, was the box lighter in this game than it had been before? And secondly, did Missouri have a lot of exotic looks? Is that why the pre-snap communication was off?
No, and I give Coach Drinkowitz and that offensive staff all the credit in the world too. I'm not going to take away from what they did, because they did put us in some situations where we lost leverage and we felt like we didn't get an extra hat to the run game. But like I said, we're multiple. We do a lot on defense, and we've played with light boxes before where guys have to end up beating the block because the numbers don't always match up. We're not always just an 8-man or a 7-man front where we bring an extra guy in. That we feel like that's one of the reasons we've had a little bit of success this year, is because we've been multiple and we've been able to stop the run with lighter boxes. But I don't think Missouri did anything out of the ordinary, exotic. They did, put stress on us as far as, the formations and getting adjusted to them. But it's nothing that we haven't seen. We just didn't adjust to them, as fast and as effective as we have in the past.
Last two, Vince and Casey.
Two quick things. What's your balance with your guys in terms of what you're coaching? Effort, energy, focus versus actual scheme?
It always starts with that. I always say I'm an old school guy. I still remember the Ravens teams from when Ray Lewis was there, and they had one of the best defenses in the world. I sat there, and I tell these guys the story all the time. I sat and watched a clinic with Marvin Lewis, and he went over what was supposed to happen on tape, what gaps and what responsibilities guys are supposed to have on defense. And then when I turned on that tape, it looked nothing like that. But when the ball was snapped, they had 11 guys going to the ball with extreme effort and playing with relentless effort, and that made up for it. And we always gonna, and I say we, us as a staff, starting with Coach Heupel, are always gonna put a premium on max effort and playing with relentless effort, because that's going to, overcome some of the, blocking schemes. There's good coaches everywhere. They're going to diagnose what we're doing, and they're going to obviously formulate some offenses to put us in bad situations. The way you overcome that is with relentless effort and a will that's going to keep you from getting blocked. And I always going to believe that.
And what can you say about Georgia's running backs specifically?
Very, very talented group. Thought they probably had one of their better performances. I know they have been banged up. They've had a couple different guys in the backfield. I thought they played a complete game last week against Ole Miss. And I thought Milton really looked like he's starting to bounce back. I know he was a little dinged up. He had some really explosive runs. And I've been saying since last year, I think the Dejon Edwards kid doesn't get enough credit for how well he runs the ball. You can tell there's a high trust factor with him. They put him in critical situations, and he does an unbelievable job, one cut of making the first guy miss. I think, they've had a high standard at running back, these last couple years, and I don't see any difference, this year.
Is the pre-snap communication easier to execute at home at all?
You know what? It's funny that you asked that question, because it's literally when we're on defense, it's louder at home. You know, when you're on the road, it's quieter on the road. So it should be opposite, right? It should be opposite, that the pre-snap communication should be better on the road. But I want to make sure I answer this the right way, because we still want our crowd to be very, very loud when their offense is out there. It's one of those things where I think the chaos that's at Neyland, I think it stresses the offense some too. So the pre-snap communication is still at a high level at home, and we have to go a little bit above and beyond to get that communication. And I think that might make us better, where when it's on the road and their crowd does a good job of staying a little more quiet when the offense is out there, we have to still do a great job. And it's one of those things where, and maybe because of the intensity of the situation at home, we do a better job, but we still need to do a better job on the road. I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.